You are watching CTV News on this somber Friday, November 22nd, 2013. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Patricia Ballone. Thank you for joining us as the nation marks the 50th anniversary of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. More on that in a moment as we begin tonight in Oxon Hill. Well, it took a little more than a year to build and only a few moments this morning to fill up with eager shoppers. It was the grand opening of Tanger Outlets at National Harbor. CTV's Byron Scott was there and tells us what it means for Prince George's County.
They arrived early this morning. Thousands of eager shoppers looking to get in on the new.
I was off work and I had nothing to do.
And you came to shop?
Yes, sir.
So many people came out today, as was expected, that police were on deck to keep things flowing. Lines were long and parking lots were filled. And today, a little more than a year after construction began, the new Tanger Outlet opened with pomp, circumstance,
1, 2, 3.
and a ribbon cutting. There are more than 80 stores featuring names such as Michael Kors, Coach, Brooks Brothers, Calvin Klein, and Clark Shoes. There are interactive directories.
Here you go.
And on this first day, there are plenty of people carrying plenty of bags.
What time did you guys get here today? Because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bags.
6, including my other daughter. 5 minutes before 9.
Okay.
We were already at the door.
And that's what makes this project so special to Prince George's County, company officials say. They also spoke of 900 full and part-time jobs, along with $6.5 million in sales tax revenue for the state.
This is going to be the biggest shopping opening in this Washington region, probably in the last 20 years. So we're very excited to have it here in Prince George's County.
And for the folks who live in the county, somewhere close to home to shop.
Because we had to travel for years to go out to nice places. Now we got it right here in our own backyard, so it makes it convenient for you.
Jobs, most important jobs.
Black Friday may be a week away, but upwards of 100,000 shoppers are expected to hit this mall this weekend alone. But for those who want to get in tonight on the excitement, here tonight at 7 o'clock, there'll be fireworks. At National Harbor, Byron Scott, CTV News.
A 5-car accident in Bowie leaves 3 people injured and 1 in critical condition. The crash occurred just before noon at Route 197 near Benjamin Tasker Middle School. Little information is available at this time, but from the accident scene, you can see a car smash under an Escalade. Traffic was closed for several hours in both directions. The accident remains under investigation.
It was November 22nd, 1963, when President Kennedy was fatally struck down while riding in an open-top limousine in Dallas, Texas. The first-term president was only 46 years old at the time. The anniversary of his death has sparked a prolonged period of reflection.
On the next island over, and I was sitting in a hotel dining room in the morning having breakfast, and a man that I didn't know came up to me, a local man, and he said, is it true that President Kennedy was killed in Dallas?
I was 33. And I guess my reaction is shock and surprise.
And you were in Texas at the time?
I was in Austin.
Ask anyone who was old enough to remember JFK, and they can tell you exactly what they were doing on that fateful day a half a century ago. Today marks the 50th anniversary of President John F. Kennedy's assassination in Dallas, Texas. While people across the nation commemorate his tragic death, one local man has a special collection of JFK memorabilia.
You know, a lot of people, a lot of countries kind of were shocked at the time. And I think, you know, obviously after the assassination, when his date of birth came in, a lot of people started shooting stamps. So I think I figured that, you know, that's one thing. At his birth anniversary or assassination anniversary, countries began shooting stamps, and they also began to profile him with some of the best leaders at that time. There was some collections in my part. He has a series of 6-7 individuals, and JFK is one of them.
Ahmed says he plans to pass his collection on to future generations so that they never forget the 35th leader of the free world.
He's still a person who is kind of, you know, people still love him. I think it just happened was talking to a couple of my elder friends, and they thought it just happened like yesterday. So 50 years has passed, and I think a lot of, he was able to accomplish a whole lot.
And flags have been ordered at half-staff at all government buildings today. Well, joining us now a little bit earlier than usual is our own Galen Gwen, who was working for CBS News here in Washington on that fateful day.
She's here in studio to share with us her personal reflections as well as what it was like in the newsroom reporting on a president's death. Galen, what do you remember? What was it like?
Oh, I remember a lot, even though it's been 50 years. First of all, there was this beautiful, charming, lovely, cultured couple in the White House, exciting, and everybody loved them and was so happy about it. And so, the shock was even more. I was working in the newsroom on the news desk, and when somebody went in, Don Byers went into the teletype room and came out with this, to alert everybody this had happened. And you have to remember, in those days, there were only 3 networks. There were no cable, there was no PBS, there was ABC, CBS, NBC. And mostly what I did in the next hour or so was to go find all the reporters and the camera people and get them back in. And we then continued just to work for 4 days. They brought in food, we went home, we slept a little bit, came back and just worked. And the hard part was it was so emotional. They had to put that aside, while you were doing all this. And I think that the important thing about that weekend for us, for television, it was the weekend that television news came of age. Up until that time, newspapers had really been the primary source of news. And when people had the opportunity to see these events immediately as they were happening, television news really did come of age. And then after that, blossoming was much more important.
And you clearly have not experienced much like that since then.
I think probably 9/11 is and the day that happened, I was coming in here. I was in here doing an arts piece, actually. So again, you remember what you were doing on that day too. But that's probably the other thing that was, even though there are lots of things that have happened, I think for this country as a whole, probably 9/11 was the other one that was that big.
Now, you talked about separating the emotion from the fact that you still had to work and do this. How were you able to do that?
We were so busy, and we had so much to do. And I mean, the whole, particularly Washington, official Washington, everybody, it was so unexpected, and we had to work so fast. We didn't really have time, but after it was over, then you had a chance to be personally, feel your emotions, but we just didn't have time.
All right, Galen, thank you so much for sharing your memories and your insight with us, and we are going to see you back here later in the show with your arts and entertainment piece.